Yeah, this quality sucks. I'm sick right now. Um, Jeez, got a cold. It's funny. I always think of the word "I have a cold." Your body gets so hot, and then you'd say to people, "I just caught a cold. I'm feeling sick. I got the cold." But it's like they feel, "Oh my gosh, you're boiling up." It's kind of dumb. But anyway, um, so when developing your self-esteem, right, you have to really look away from what we can call external value. You have to look away from the things that other people want to see or the things that you want other people to think of you. You need to stop. Like, say you're going out, right? And you're, let's say you're just a guy who works a normal job and you don't make like 17 figures a year or some shit, right? Let's say you're just a normal guy. Um, a lot of people will try to sort of, I don't know, display a value they don't actually have, sort of portray themselves as being that guy when they're not actually that guy. And ultimately, that results in you pushing other people away without really knowing it. You're you're trying to force things. You're trying to make things happen. It's similar. It's a very deep concept though, because I remember like 2 weeks ago, I was cold approaching, and I cold approached this one girl who was particularly my type. I realized I have a type now, but anyway. So this girl was my type. We were talking, we were chilling, and um, we'll say, like if a person was gonna like rate what was happening, people would be like, "Well, damn, that's a good approach." People would say, you go up to the person, you interact with them, they smile, they're gazing at your eyes, they have the puppy dog Bambi eyes just staring at you. Um, and then at times she would be looking at me, then look at my lips, then look at my eyes and my lips, and it's like just all the right signs. And that came from me not trying to be like, hey, I want to take you out, I want to do this and that, blah blah blah. Like it came from me not trying to be something I'm not. And essentially, that's the core essence of what true value actually is. This true level of self-esteem. It's when you don't need other people to think you're something that you're not. It's like if you meditate, for example, you learn to be present with the very moment, with the now. And then it's not about, oh, I want this to happen, oh, I want that to happen. You just you're just here enjoying what's happening. You're not trying to make anything happen. You're enjoying what's happening. So it's also a sense of being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be judged and to be sort of, yeah, let's just say to be judged by others. If you're trying to develop your self-esteem, you have to. It's essentially building yourself. To be honest, it's just you building you. Imagine you had a tree, right? And we can use the tree as a representation of what human beings are and the way they behave. So some human beings want to grow the stem and grow the actual tree itself, but they never focus on the roots. So essentially what you then have is this massive tree that can easily be pushed this way or that way. And these people are very reactive. Like if a girl doesn't like them and she's like, nah, you ugly, they're be like, nah, you ugly, blah, blah, blah. Or if a girl rejects them, they get sort of butthurt, they get upset. If a person just, does something out of line with what they want, they can't really handle that, right? So you have those people who just focus on the tree, but not the roots. These people tend to be very wealthy and they need money in order to feel good about themselves. They need the the wealth in order to feel as though they can get attraction from women, or they can get um, just anything, to be honest. They're essentially nothing without their wealth. If you were to take the person and you just strip them of everything they have, and you, I mean, they're competent. At least they're competent. If you manage to build up a certain level of wealth, you have a particular level of competence that is respectable. But the problem is that you avoid developing yourself in every other area, in other aspects of your life. So as a result, you're this competent, capable individual who's built up this amount of wealth, right? But without the wealth, you lose your confidence. If you were to go through like a Great Depression in your own life, where everything just falls apart, the wind blows and the tree falls over, yeah, that really is gonna mess you up if you don't have like the strong roots. Now that these other people, if you've heard of the Eastern philosophies, if you've heard of the Eastern philosophies, there are these other people that they're the monks, right? The monks are the kind of people who build their roots, but then they have this tiny little stem. They have this tiny little tree, and it's like these roots are massive, but the tree is just this little thing that they neglect to actually grow. So you have two different sides of the sort of spectrum, and the people who have the massive roots have an extreme sense of self-esteem. They have an extreme sense of presence with the moment and with everyone, but they have not allowed themselves to live actually. And that's the idea of the actual tree itself. If you embark on the journey of developing both sides, both ends, you'll find that as your roots grow, the tree grows. And the bigger the tree gets, the bigger the roots get, or the bigger the roots need to be in order to support the tree and prevent it from falling over when someone just comes and pushes you, or someone is trying to attack you. It prevents you from falling over, to be honest. So self-esteem is essentially that. Self-esteem is building the roots more than building the actual tree itself, but it's not to the exclusion of the tree. It's inclusive of both factors. So, for example, if you build up your body, but you don't build up your presence and your self-worth, the way you see yourself, the value of yourself, in yourself, with yourself, and you need validation from other people, although you're jacked, although you're attractive, or whatever it is, you you still won't be getting the results you actually want, because in order to get the results you want, you have to have both ends. In order to get the results you want, it's like you're this attractive guy, but you have to sort of feel a sense of entitlement. And there's obviously been a rapidly um, and just increasingly terrible use of the word entitlement. But entitlement isn't entirely a bad thing, right? If I, like, for instance, the girl that I approached like 2 weeks ago, I haven't gone out in like a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, but she is the kind of person you sort of have to feel entitled to approach. You have to be like, yeah, she'll like me. And you mustn't be like, oh my gosh, I hope she likes me. It's more on this, I hope I like her. She's pretty, she's got the qualities that I like, the physical attraction is there. But I hope her like person is something I can vibe with, right? And because even at that moment, that was my first approach of the day, and that was the most attractive girl that I approached that day. So it tells you something. It was a good approach, but I realized that I messed it up at the end because I wanted to come off as the smooth guy, this playerish guy and shit, right? So there's like, how you have these lines where people are like, oh, use this line in this moment or use that line. When your self-esteem is when you've built up your self-esteem, you don't need lines. You could literally say, and I'm not joking, anything. You could literally walk up to the girl and be like, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And then you guys just have like a moment of like, what the hell? What the hell was that? and you guys can just laugh about it, chill, like just like what's the biggest word you know, or I don't know, like there's no lines when you have self-esteem. There's no like, oh, this is what I say to open. This is how I hook. This is how and all the game advice that people give you. You build your self-esteem. You literally just walk up and you're entitled to a degree that makes the girl think, who the fuck is this guy, right? Because usually guys are all like scared and shiver me timbers and shit. I remember there was this girl that she was like, Um, most guys are usually scared to talk to me. I have an intimidating face, and she didn't. She's just attractive to a point where guys are like very thirsty, very down bad that approach her. So I just look at her and I'm like, no, man. And I just make fun of her. Like, you think you're intimidating? No. Okay, okay. All right, buddy. And that was funny. That was cool. And that sparked a lot of attraction in her because not a lot of guys are gonna, you know, call her out on bullshit because she's an attractive girl. Attractive girls tend to get their way with everything. But if you have a good self esteem, if you have a level of entitlement as a guy, you can call shit out, right? And that's ultimately what you then develop. You develop your capacity to be validated not by the external world, but by yourself. You don't need the girl to like you in order to feel good. You feel good regardless of whether the girl likes you or not. Even if she hates your guts, you'll enjoy that instead of like, oh man, I wish she liked me. Oh man, blah blah blah. You know, it's not. You don't ever feel as though you've lost. Everything is a win when you develop your self-esteem. So you have to learn to be validated within your own world, within your own self. Like if you, for instance, if you don't have a very high self-esteem, if I remember my friend told me this one thing that happened to him. He was on a bus, and he asked. He's in Germany, by the way, but he's on a bus, and he asked the bus driver, "Yo, is this bus going to this particular place?" And the driver's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Okay." And then the driver starts going like in the complete opposite direction, and he goes to a different city, and now my friend is basically lost. He's basically just somewhere he never intended to be. And because he has low self-esteem, he doesn't go to the bus driver and be like, hey, yo, you told me this bus is going here, and you've gone the opposite direction. What the heck? Can I get my money back so I can take another bus? Instead of doing that, he just like realizes that this bus isn't going where he said it was going, and then he's like, you said the bus was going to this place. It's like, yeah, no, no, the bus isn't going there. The bus driver said that, and then he's like, okay, can I get off at the stop then? And you always feel as though you're in the wrong. You always feel as though you're the one who's made the mistake if you have low self-esteem and a low level of entitlement. Now, too much entitlement is a bad thing. Let's not even act as though it's not, but there's a level that, you have to balance the level of entitlement with your reality. A lot of people, I think, try to claim accolades they don't actually have. So a lot of guys think, I'm good with girls. Why do you say that? Well, because they will never say this, right? They'll never say this, but I was dating this one girl, and she was a bottle girl. So she works at those clubs and all that shit, right? And she would always tell me, I swear, she would always tell me that uh, these guys would always be like, hey, baby, come here. Let me buy you this. Let me buy you that. Hey, baby, blah, blah, blah. And they're sort of trying to use money in order to get through to her. But a guy who has fuck all cash, I was able to, you know, smash and, build a situationship with her because I didn't care about the fact that I didn't have money. These guys need, it's like, you need a crutch. These guys need a crutch, and that's because they have low self-esteem, low self-worth. But and it's funny how this is dependent on the particular area you're considering in their life. So, because if you were to be like, okay, what is their level of self-esteem in their business? It's probably very high, but their level of self-esteem in anything outside of the thing that they know, like like It's just zero. It's literally just zero. So they need to use the fact that they're good at this thing in order to make people value them and be like, oh shit, he has money. Okay. But the girl is like when you start dating like attractive girls, you find that they're not really impressed by that shit. They just want a guy who's real, a guy who's like they just want you to be honest, but not your loser, boring, low self-esteem self. They want you to be the coolest guy that they've dated, but that doesn't mean that you need to act as though you're a cool guy. What it means is that you have to actually just be a cool guy. I remember when I approached her, she was coming back from work and she was wearing like this pink dress and this black jersey, this like black leather jacket. And I just approached her and she had this weird design on her hair, like with as her hair. I don't know. She did braids and had this weird design. I'm like, oh shit, that's an interesting design. I'm just walking home, right? I'm like, oh shit, that's an interesting design. Why'd you do that? And she looks at me first and she's like, I just like it. And she's a bit like resistant to it. And because I'm not reactive, because I'm not like, oh, I thought you were very pretty and I just wanted to come say hi, like, I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Where you heading right now, actually? She's just like, oh, I'm going home. Oh, you live around here? Okay, that's cool. I live like nearby as well. I'm just going to the shops to buy something. What's your name? And it's like you assume familiarity. You don't need to be open, like, hey, let's open the girl. Hi, you're very pretty. Hi, excuse me, how's your day going? It's like you don't need to do that. You can do that if that's what you feel like doing, if that's what you want to do, but it has to come from a place of high self-esteem. I didn't call the girl pretty once, I think. I genuinely didn't call her pretty because I just didn't care to do that. And I remember while we were walking, this other guy comes along, and I guess he knows the girl somehow, and he also low-key wants her. So he says hello to me because I'm acquainted with him, and then he says, "Hey, this girl, blah blah blah. Treat her right. This is my child. This is my little sister. Blah blah blah." I'm just looking at this guy. I'm like, okay. And then he starts talking to her and like trying to flirt with her and shit. And I'm just like, all right, you do your thing. I'm gonna go to the shops. And because I was so like, I don't care. I don't give a shit, right? I don't need you to feel good about myself. I don't need you to feel validated. I don't need her approval so that I feel like I won, right? I am me. And because I'm me and I've done the things I've done throughout my entire life until this particular point, I've won. I am the winner and I'm continuing to win. I'm continuing to do things that will keep me make me better, just improve me. It's not something that's like I need the girl to like me. Because as soon as you do that, she loses all attraction. As soon as you do that, I remember with that approach that I did 2 weeks ago, the girl, because I wanted to get like a kiss. I wanted to get a solid like interaction, and I've had that in mind. I'm just like, dude, I need to interact with girls and just like kiss them. And I haven't done that in a very long time. I haven't been able to kiss a girl off the meetup, off the first meetup in a while. So I was just like, dude, I need to get a kiss. I need to get a kiss. So when we were standing and she was like, "Oh, I'm getting myself an Uber," and I'm like, "Well, before you go," and this is something it's like I've done before and it worked. So I was sort of trying to use it as a line, as a script, and it didn't work because women are so socially attuned. They're so socially calibrated that as soon as you do the slightest thing that is just off center, that is incongruent, she loses all attraction. And it's crazy. It's insane how I did that and she kind of lost attraction. But then I kept talking a little bit, so I built up a bit more of attraction. I ended up getting her number, but it just wasn't a solid number. And I knew that, and I was like, fuck. I was like, shit. Just because I wanted to get that kiss, just because I wanted her to like me and to show me that she likes me. But if I just assumed value, if I just assumed connection, I was just like, you know what, by the way, wait, cancel you, but let's go get an ice cream or some shit. And she's like, no, I'm gonna go get an ice cream. And she'll probably be more incentivized to actually come with me because it's like, I don't care, right? Um, I did ask for a number earlier before, so I didn't need to ask for a number. I like to do that. I like to talk to the person, ask for the number, like, I don't know, early, and then continue to talk to them because it sort of shows them that I'm not the phone number bandit. I got your number, ha, and run away. No, you're just the guy who actually is genuinely there because you like the person. You see something interesting about them, and you're just trying to figure that out. Like, what is so interesting about you? Like, why do I like you? Why do I feel like I'm attracted to you this much? And it's not you trying to prove yourself to her. It ends up becoming a thing where she's trying to prove herself to you. And that was happening throughout the interaction. I was teasing, I was flirting. We were just, giggling, laughing. And essentially, I was just doing my own thing. I remember this one time I sang this song, We're Going on a Trip in Our Favorite Rocket Ship, or what is it? Little Einsteins, whatever that song, whatever they say. Going through the stars, little Einstein. And I looked at her and I'm like, you don't know nothing about little Einsteins. She's like, no, I know little Einsteins. I watched all those cartoons when I was younger. I'm like, nah, okay, you're just saying that, whatever. Okay, what's your favorite cartoon song? And then she said whatever she said, I forgot. But it's something like that. It's like that's not a line. The little Einstein's line. Sing the song, and she'll be attracted to. But it's funny how you can turn anything into a line, right? You can literally take that and literally do that. Be like, okay, let's make this a line. Little Einstein's line. So yeah, it's important that you don't try to like to make them like you. That's the idea of having a high self-esteem. You don't really care if the other person likes you. You understand that if I like you, we're gonna have a good time because I'm a cool guy. But I know you like me. And if you don't, I guess there's something wrong with you. Because I'm a pretty cool guy. And it's more of that mentality, but not sort of like coming from this egotistical place. It's coming from a very genuine place, a real place. I mean, I know I'm not gonna be the guy flaunting cash, being like, "Oh, should I got a ton of cash? Hey, let's go here, let's go do this, let's go do that," right? But there's this one girl that I actually kind of liked. Unfortunately, she had a kid, so I was just like, "Yeah, nah, I'm not doing that." But I went go karting with her, right? And it's funny if you have like a level of self-esteem, a level of entitlement, you will be like, "Yo, bring your cash, bring this amount of cash for the date. We're gonna do this." And then she'll be like, okay, cool. There's no like, oh, you have to pay for me and blah blah blah. It's funny how she would pay for a lot of things. She'd just pay for a lot of things. And there was never this sort of like from me, I never felt like, oh shit, I need to prove myself to her. I need to show her I'm valuable. I can take care. It's like you if once you understand that you have worth and you build your self-esteem, you sort of lose that neediness, that clinginess, that self-qualification, the want for others to like you. So we were our first date. I remember I bought us some food, and the next few dates she was the one buying shit. Right? She would come with this, come with that. I'd be like, "Yo, buy some ice cream on your way over," and that's what she would do. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool to be honest. Um, so it's the difference between someone who's able to sort of bring out value within themselves versus someone who needs the external world to have value. It's like the whole thing with women and iPhones. If you're a girl and you don't have an iPhone, this is a Samsung. If you're a girl and you don't have an iPhone, there's something wrong with you, right? At least they feel like there's something wrong with them. Like you don't have an iPhone, oh my gosh, you're so low status and blah blah blah. Never had an iPhone my whole life. I've only had shitty phones, like shitty phones to be honest, second-hand phones. Because I don't care. It's like why I don't need an iPhone to feel good about myself. I don't care about an iPhone. Like I don't care. I genuinely am not like manipulated by the marketing schemes and systems that exist in the world in order to and that make you feel as though in order to be valued and feel valuable, in order to be valuable, you need this particular product. I don't care. Like I remember my my friend bought himself one of those old like small Nokia phones, like the old school ones. And he uses that to approach girls because it's funny. It's like I don't have an iPhone, this is what I got. And the girls don't care. You know, it's not about what phone you have. It's not about how much cash you have. It's about who you are and the level of self-esteem you actually have. That's what's important. So I'm feeling like my headache is going crazy right now. But yeah. So in order to begin the process of building your self-esteem, you need to understand these ideas. Understand that you have both the tree and you have its roots, right? And you have to build both. Now you can focus on one and then focus on the other, then focus on one. You can do that, or you can build both at the same time. I'm more of more. I was more of the person who focused on one and then focused on the other and then focused on this one again. And it's like, yeah, I think I've built up my self-esteem to a point where even though I don't have anything, I don't have money, I don't have all that shit. Like it doesn't mean shit to me. It doesn't hold me back. I mean, to some degree, not having my own place does, but um, I'm working on that, and it's funny because it still doesn't hold me. It's like doesn't play in my mind, and it doesn't cause less attraction in the girl. I tell girls I stay at home all the time. Oh yeah, I stay with my mom. I love my mom. I love my mom, and I say that I'm just like, yeah, I love my mom. I stay at home. What? What do you mean? And then they're just like, oh yeah, oh, whatever, whatever. And it's funny how it will never be a bad thing as long as you don't perceive it as a bad thing. As soon as you're like, oh shit, I stay at home with my mom. She's lost all attraction. She's lost all attraction. You are not getting that girl. But it's like if you're just like, yeah, no, I stay home. Yeah, I was at home with my mom. Yeah. Now at the moment I'm unemployed, but you know I'm figuring myself out. I'm figuring things out. You know, it's gonna take some time, but yeah, yeah, it's just a process. So they're gonna be attracted to you because you don't need them to like you. You're showing that it's not about the money for me. It's not about having this or having the fast car. For me, it's about me, and you can either join me or you can fuck right off. And that's what builds value, right? You just bringing worth out from within and not needing external sources of validation in order to feel good or entitled. So that's essentially the primary point, that building your self-esteem, it's not easy. It's not easy. And it takes a lot. You also have to go through a shit ton of rejections in order to understand various other things. Like, it's a painful journey, to be honest. But once you embark on the journey and you actually start to progress, you will not regret it. It's painful, and I'm not saying everybody should do this. There are some people that just, dude, you're not strong enough. In all honesty, there are some people just like, you're not strong enough. You'll jump off a bridge. That's how crazy this stuff gets. It's like you are not strong enough for this stuff. But you know, you have to really be that kind of person, that kind of guy who can handle the shit. And it's just a matter of, I don't know. Yeah, that's what it is, you know. It's a matter of something. And I guess it's a matter of just finding value within your own self. And yeah, that's it. You know, I don't have anything else to say, so I'll see you in the next one.